What up, though, y'all? It's your girl, Andra Alexis, and I'm here on another episode of Power You Podcast. I'm here with a special guest, Charles Kennedy Jr. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Thank
Feeling
you for
good.
joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all for having me.
Of course, y'all know I got Coop here with me. How you feeling, Coop?
What up? I'm great.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I achieved something today.
Oh, that's good.
That is good.
Yeah.
Care to share?
No.
Okay, whatever.
No, I did 150 push-ups straight today.
Oh, that's dope.
So I was
That's
like,
dope.
okay, I can do it.
I
It's a
need
man thing.
I can't do not one push-up. So
Yeah, that's where I need to get back to. Just slacking.
I can't do not one push-up. I'd rather eat something.
But anyways, this ain't about me.
Yeah. Good job though on your accomplishment. Anywho, so Charles, can you let the people know who don't know who you are and a little bit about what you do?
Man, so I'm Charles. I play the tuba. Nah.
I was just saying I didn't know that.
Say that's from Drumline. If you ain't never seen Drumline, that's
Yeah.
I always introduce myself like that. Like I'm
Really?
Charles. I play the tuba.
That's a classic.
But no, I'm Charles. I'm originally from Pontiac. I'm living out in Livonia now. I'm a filmmaker, writer, director, producer, cinematographer. I'm also a photographer as well. Um, I've been doing it full time for about, I want to say it's going on 4 years now. I was working a corporate job, coming out of college, and then working for my school, and then doing like a bunch of random random gigs that you do when you in college and you just trying to make you're just trying to make money. So I was working a corporate job. They laid off a bunch of people. I was one of them, and I kind of fell back on some of the clientele that I had built over the years, and kind of took it full time. And my wife supported me going full time doing this, and I haven't really been looking back. So doing the film thing full time, photography full time, and just hustling.
Is that something you've always wanted to do? Film and photography?
So it's interesting because I really didn't discover like film photography until junior year of college.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, I really didn't know what I wanted to do until, let's say, maybe junior year of college or senior year of, I mean, not college, high school. One of my mentors at the church I went to growing up, he said, why don't you join the audiovisual ministry? And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. And, I did that and learned how to do camera, learned how to do technical director, learned how to do audio. I kind of latched on to audio. And audio was the path that I really wanted to go to, because everyone was like, oh, you're really good at it. You got a good ear, et cetera, et cetera. I thought it was fun. So audio engineering was really where I had my sights set. But I had a friend, a classmate, he introduced me to the 48-hour film challenge. And he's like, hey, I need a sound guy. You wanna be a part of the team? I'm like, sure, I'll try it. And at the time, I'm like super shy, super reserved, like, don't know what I want to do, don't know who I am yet. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it. I got a little reservations about it, but I'll give it a shot. And I did it, and I'm like, whoa, we made a whole movie in 2 days. Like,
Wow.
I didn't think that was possible. Like, we did a little short film, but I'm like, I didn't know that this was possible. I thought you had to go to Hollywood to do this.
Right, of course.
And the fact that I could use my audio skills and then do that was just like, oh my God. So I, started getting into it more and more, and then eventually got into camera and started doing photography, and, started shooting weddings, and, just eventually found my way to being behind the camera, and then eventually directing, and then eventually, learning how to write, and, the rest just kind of took off from there. But it started with audio. I didn't think that making movies was even possible.
So how long was the school for audio?
So I went to Lawrence Tech University, and the program, I was in media communication, so the program is pretty broad. So my advisor at the time, like, she really wanted me to get in the news broadcast, but she said, learn how to do everything.
Of course.
And if you learn how to do everything, it'll be easier for you to get a job. And so I was really like, I took it into account, but I was really still kind of one track mind for halfway through college, so about 2 years. And I really didn't get into the audio engineering classes until like junior year. But that was already at the point to where I'm like, oh, I'm learning camera. I know how to, film is new and exciting to me. Like, but that passion for audio was still there.
Mm.
So, is audio a class that you could teach?
I mean, there's some things I need to refresh on. Like, there's some things that we learn, like studio stuff. Patching. Like, I'd have to refresh myself on that. But like the basics of audio, yeah.
So you're more of a raw audio person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the boom mic, the boom stick.
Yeah, I could do the boom and what I did at my church, I was a sound technician. So I would, I was behind the mixing board and I could mix and stuff like that. So I do post-production mixing from time to time too. But I know.
What you know about a Presons?
A Personas? Like the board?
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because I used to work for a band that was sponsored by Personas, and they had the mixing board, and I had to learn how to use that, and I was like really impressed by it because I come from like straight analog, like everything,
right?
And then seeing Personas was just like, oh man, I gotta press this button to get over to this, and it was dope. So I know a little bit. It's been a while since I've used one, but I know a little bit about.
Yeah, I'm asking you all these questions because I got one in there.
I
don't know what the fuck be going on that thing.
I peeped it over there, and I'm like, yeah, that looked just like the same one that we use.
It's fire, but it's like,
yeah,
I be looking at it like it's foreign all the time. Like, man, I pressed the wrong thing. I think I'm gonna mess everything up.
It's complicated for sure, but yeah, once you learn it and you keep doing it and keep doing it, like you'll get it. But yeah, that board. Yeah, it took me a minute to learn that board. Like
I got it for what we doing now.
Yeah.
But if they were like, hey, make me sound digital or something, I'm gonna be like, what?
Yeah, I definitely don't know anything about that. I just show up, talk, whatever. I'll let y'all do all that.
Yeah.
What are some projects you've worked on?
Oh man, recently, so recently I just finished working with Moolah Films.
Mm-hmm.
Man, shout out to the Moolah family, man. Everybody over at Moolah, man. I don't want to get to naming names and then I forget.
Right.
I forget somebody and then I feel
as a collective.
Yeah, man, because we tight, we real tight over there. So shout out to everybody, and y'all know who y'all are, the 90-day gang. The 90-day gang. We did McGraw Ave season 2.
That's what we heard.
We wrapped last season. It was a 90-day adventure. But I actually saw a little bit of some footage yesterday from episode 1. And it looks great.
We can't wait. We're fans.
It looks incredible. And I'm an extremely, extremely tough critic of anything I do.
Of course.
So for me to say that it looks good is like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with this.
You did that, yeah.
So so we did McGraw Ave season 2. Serial Cheater. It's another feature film with Moolah, directed by Thomas, and Kills Derek Scott, starring Chris Collins, Sierra Angelia, my bad. So we did that. We did that right after McGraw, which was very ambitious, but we did it.
We got it done.
It's a lot of hustlers over there that that speak my language. We all speak the same language, so so when T was like, yeah, man, we're trying to do the next one right after McGraw, and I'm like, let's go, let's do it. I'm like, let's do it.
But did you think he was meant like literally right after, or you was ready?
No,
regardless?
I'm so T. What I love about T is that T like I see a lot of myself in him.
Mm-hmm.
Like we we're super ambitious. Like we're kind of crazy. Like a lot of people kind of get a little scared off by how much we try to get done in a short amount of time. So when he said he's like, all right, we're gonna do McGraw, and then when we finish McGraw, he's like, all right, we're gonna do the next one right after. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I knew he was serious.
Yeah.
But I knew it was really a matter of, all right, can you convince everybody to come back after this long journey we just did? Like, you gonna convince everybody to come back, and we did. We got back to it, and we got it done. We did it. So those are the most two recent things I've done. Do a lot of work with my brother and my producing partner Zach Cunningham. We did a couple shorts for a series, a catalog series, but it's meant to be like an online museum, like it's to showcase, the different directors and different storytellers in the city who, have stories to tell, but they ordinarily like don't know how to get their stuff produced or haven't had an opportunity to produce their stuff. It's called Darker Than Blue. And he and I, like, we've produced a couple things for that series. Like he'll direct, I'll shoot, or I'll shoot and he'll direct, or we'll just kind of tag team and do that. So we've done a couple of those things, and I've got a feature film I just sent off to distribution. Hopefully it's gonna be releasing this year. So it's a lot of different things, and a short I DP'd with director Ashley Kay. Forgive Us Not. That just released not too long ago on SDX film. So just quite a bit, but the two most recent is McGraw Ave and Serial Cheater.
You're working.
Yeah. So you say you shoot too. So what's your favorite camera?
So I shot a commercial with Zach. It was for We the People, but we shot it at Cliff Bells. And it was for Cliff Bells, and we got a couple musicians to come in and kind of play and talk about their craft. So we shot it on the Alexa Mini large format, and hands down favorite camera. Hands down. I'm spoiled by that camera. Like I've never shot large format before. I've never shot Ari before. That was the first time doing both. And when I tell you I fell in love, like the second that I was holding that thing, like on my shoulder, I'm just like, yeah, it's nothing like Ari.
So I'm gonna try to simplify this for the people that's watching. He not talking about a handheld camera.
Oh no,
he's talking about a shoulder camera.
Yeah, no, this is it's a cinema camera.
Cinema camera.
Yeah, these the
big boys.
The big boys that they use. Yeah, that they use. On the big budget movies. Yeah.
So how do you feel about when people use like Canons, Sonys to shoot movies?
I mean, that's where I started. I started. My first camera was a Canon T3i.
Okay.
That was my workhorse. Like all the short films that I used to do, back in the day in Pontiac, when I would just, get my homies, there's all my homies, like we'll just get together and hang out after church, and we would just make shorts, just like make these little skits. Like it would either be with a camcorder. Like the very first thing I ever shot with was with a webcam on a MacBook. Like that was the first thing I ever did. Oh, wow. And I performed all the roles. I had all the wardrobe, changed into different wardrobe for different characters.
Wait a minute.
I had different wigs, everything. Like
wait a minute.
Yeah.
So y'all don't know, he said the webcam on a Mac.
On a MacBook Pro, yeah.
That's connected to the camera.
Yes.
So y'all was running around with the whole computer.
Laptop.
Yeah, I was running around. Like I shot it. I remember I did a documentary on my mentor at the church. It was called Phenomenal. And I interviewed him. I had the MacBook, and I had it sitting on a little side desk, and I put like a couple books to prop it up, so it could be close to eye level. And I interviewed him on that, And then when I did my thing, I just had the MacBook like on the table, just sitting across from me, where I would prop it up on something, and I would just do it. So, I mean, you know, Canons, SLR, Sony's, anything, man. Like even iPhone, like
Yeah.
it's so much more accessible to make something. And if you have something, with a camera, it doesn't matter what it is. I think, just make it.
Yeah.
Get people together. If you got something to say,
Get it out.
you got the tools available to you. Is really, I don't want to say it's no excuse, because I
Yeah.
get it. People have reservations about being vulnerable through the craft and sharing it with other people, and
Yeah.
you don't want to say certain things because of the culture we live in. Everything is so PC now. You got cancel culture and stuff like that. But if you got a camera, any camera, it don't matter what it is. Like, you don't need a high end camera. You don't need an Ari, a Red, a Black Magic, or none of that. Like, as long as you got your iPhone, man, you can make anything.
That's facts.
You really can. These
can
boys
make
is
anything.
amazing.
Man.
Yeah, like Steven Soderbergh, he did a film. He did two films. It's one called Unsane and another one called High Flying Bird. Shot him on iPhone. And this is like
Wow.
major director, writer, producer. He was like, I'm gonna shoot these on iPhone, and he put them out, and they had theatrical releases. So really, it's
Yeah.
it's out there, it's attainable. So
They ain't be amazing. This be the amazing part. The quality that
Mhm.
comes from a phone and go to the screen.
yeah, shoot 4K. You got close. Telephoto. You got wide on the pros. So if it's got a camera on it, I feel like you could do anything.
Right. Definitely. As long as you can back it up and see it later.
Mhm.
Who are some of your inspirations, if you have any?
Man, I have so many. What got me in the like storytelling period?
You look like a kid.
That was supposed to happen.
I like,
That was
wait,
supposed to
what?
happen. I was trying to let it out a little bit. It just fell to the
Man,
floor. It got a little.
man. Yeah, Christopher Nolan. I remember Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese. I remember seeing Shutter Island and Inception, and just thinking that those two movies were like the greatest things I'd ever seen. And Christopher Nolan specifically, with the things that I write, he kind of taught me that you can, like, there's no limit to the medium. Like, you can push the medium like further than you think you can.
Mm-hmm.
So, just the idea of Inception, and then there's a movie he did back in 2000 called Memento, and the main character has amnesia, and it's a specific type of amnesia where he has it's like brain damage. So he can remember things up to a certain point in his life, but he can't create new memories after that. So the way that he like helps him remember things, the way that helps him like get just do ordinary things in life, like he has to take a picture of it and write it down.
Oh yeah.
But some things that he does in the movie, like he'll has tattoos, and tattoos with like little messages on them, and he's got this big cork board with just like he's trying to find who killed his wife. Basically, that's the last memory he has. The last memory he has is three guys invading his house, and they kill his wife. They try to kill him, but he survived.
We did
And,
see that.
Yeah, he tries to figure out who did it. But just that, like, this guy has amnesia, and he takes pictures to try to remember. It's like, okay, now I can let my imagination run wild and really put like, different types of things into the medium that go beyond just, dialogue, basic dialogue, simple, shot, reverse shot, stuff like that. Like, now I can go beyond, the limits of the medium. So Christopher Nolan is a big influence, and you got guys like Spike Lee, of course, Bradford Young, Manuel Lubezki, Roger Deakins, God DPs. I'm probably forgetting somebody. Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen is a huge influence. Steve McQueen, the director. Yeah, I'm probably forgetting somebody, but those, I think those are the main ones.
Hey, I'm over here trying to contemplate something. So
Yeah.
This
I'm
guy.
trying to see how many people does it really take to shoot a movie. Like you got your writer,
Mm-hmm.
you got your director, and you got your producer,
Mm-hmm.
and some more people, right?
Sometimes all those people can be just one person.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
know that.
Yeah, sometimes it can be, sometimes your writer, director, producer is
One
sometimes
person.
the same, same
Okay.
guy, or woman. I mean, I think at minimum, you know, you can write, direct, and produce yourself, and it's always good to have at least a sound guy with you. Um, you know, the way me and Zach makes films,
Mm-hmm.
um, there'll be times because our skills are so like we have a lot of interchangeable skills, but there's some things that I do good that Zach don't really know,
Yeah.
and there's some things that Zach does really well that I don't really know. So, for example, we did um, two shorts that we did for Darker Than Blue,
Right.
and it was just me and him.
Right.
So, like, he would direct, and then I would be behind the camera, and then it would just be us. Like, it would just be us doing it, and I would rig up sound, and that would be it. And then when we finish, like, he would take it, he would edit, and then that's pretty much it. So I mean, it could be it could be a two person show, it could be one person. I think is
Somebody done got scared.
man. I think as long as but I think it's learning the different skills. But
Depends
yeah,
on your
you
skill
could
set.
you could do something by yourself if you wanted to. But yeah,
I've
you
been
know,
working on that.
I don't think it I don't think it takes it doesn't take a whole army. Although it's nice to have a lot of different
Right.
people, but realistically, like if you really want to get it done, you can get it done with just you and your crew, you and your homies.
So I want to take this back a little bit, just a little bit, and then
Mhm.
you can go back to where you was finna go. So when you first walked in here, what did you expect?
Um, I really didn't expect anything, to be honest. Like I was just really more so expecting just conversation.
Okay.
Really didn't have many expectations. Um, I knew this would be our first time meeting, so
Right.
really I knew it would be more like kind of get to know like
Right.
who each other are. So yeah, I really didn't.
That type of thing.
So how many interviews you've been on that you was like you wanted to just get up and leave?
Oh, dang.
I don't know that I don't know that I
That's
have.
the same one.
Yeah, I don't know that I have. Be honest. Cause I think it's just. I mean, before I left the house, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm just appreciative of anyone who
When
just wants to have me and wants to hear what I have to say.
Okay.
I'm just appreciative of that. So, I don't really, I don't. I'm just grateful for opportunities to, just talk and,
you a
meet new
very
people.
humble person.
Man,
That's
you
fair
know
to
what?
say.
Like cause these kind of things, man, they don't, I don't feel privileged to, be here. Like this
Right.
isn't something that, oh, you have to interview me. I'm,
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
this guy. Like, I'm, you didn't have to hit me up. Like there are a bunch of other people that you could have reached out to and been like, hey, I want to interview you, but you wanted to talk to me, and I think that there's, like I'm appreciative of that because tomorrow I could be, tomorrow I could be doing something else. I could be not here. So, I just, yeah, I don't think there's, I've been on a few, I've been on a few interviews, and I don't know that there's been one where I wanted to just get up and leave or regret that I did it.
Okay.
No, because I just, I don't take these things for granted.
I mean, y'all been doing y'all job.
Yeah, I don't take these things for granted, man. Because at the end of the day, I look at it like, I'm just, I'm just a kid from Pontiac.
Right.
Right.
I had an idea one day. I'm just a kid with an imagination, and I
course.
do this, I do this stuff for really it's, filmmaking and just art period, saved my life. Like I tell people all the time, like I don't know what I would actually be doing if I wasn't doing this.
Right.
I would probably either be working some some job or, some job for somebody I don't want to work for,
Mm-hmm.
or I'd probably, I don't know, probably still be at home, living at home with my mom. I don't know. So, to come from where I come from and, to have, a lot of my friends, a lot of close friends, people I grew up with, people used to see every day. Some of them dead, some of them in jail, some of them, caught up in the wrong things. It's just, to have opportunity to do what I want to do and to have people, invite me to their circle and, want to have me is just, it's just a blessing, man. It's just a blessing.
Definitely. Oh, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. And I don't, don't take it for granted for sure.
Okay.
You about to cry?
Why am I the cry?
It looked like I see a tear. I'm just saying. I know you be acting, but
This guy. Nah, I'm not about to cry. I was just listening to what he was saying. What's one of the biggest challenges you faced thus far, if you've had to face any?
Man, the biggest challenge. Um, I think I think probably the biggest challenge, at least the first thing that comes to mind is getting out of my own way.
Ooh.
Um, I think there are times where, I'll give you a perfect example. So when I did, when I wanted to do my first feature, Affliction,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, I'm someone who, I grew up, my dad passed away when I was 10, so my mom, raised me. She pretty much, I mean, she didn't raise me by herself,
Yeah.
had the church, I had my aunts,
The village.
I had my aunt, my sister, my grandma, my granddad. But, I was a kid who I always wanted I always wanted things. But my mom, she had a house. She had a house to maintain,
Yeah.
She had this house that my dad left behind, she had bills, things like that. So because I've always been someone who I never wanted to be a burden on people, I
Mm-hmm.
always try to figure out how to get things done myself. So, so when I wanted to do my first feature, um, you know, I went and talked to a bunch of different people. Like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this project. Et cetera, et cetera. I want you to come on board and do it. And people would say, hey, man, I think you should wait. I don't think you should do this right now, et cetera, et cetera. And me being me, I'm just like, well, no, I can do it. I can do it now. I can get it done. I don't want to say you don't know what you're talking about, but you don't know me. Like like I can do
I'm
anything.
ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready to do it right now. And that process, going through that process, like yeah, I got it done, but then I had to, looking back at it, I think about at what cost. You know, um, there are a couple relationships that, ended up going wayward because of my bullheadedness of, I want to get this done. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my head down and go. And I'm not going to, maybe let this person know like, hey, this is the way I want to go. This is the direction I want to do.
Yeah.
And communication, even still to this day, has always been a big issue of mine, which is ironic because I'm a media communication grad, which is, I always think that that's really funny. But communication, I think communication has always been, a big challenge of mine. Just communicating with people, letting them know my intentions, what I want to do. When it comes to doing things that I have control over, like when they're my projects.
Right.
Because I have a very, very bad tendency of putting my head down and just going and trying to get it done.
Mm.
So I think that's one of my biggest challenges is getting out of my own way, and communication is a big, a big thing that I'm working on, in therapy and stuff like that. But I think if I were to speak to an intangible thing, I would say communication is a big challenge. But if I'm talking about something tangible, I would say funding, money, you know, people. I think that the more and more that I've done stuff behind the camera, the more I see we need more black DPs, more black gaffers, more black grips, more black production designers. I think we need more of us.
Agreed.
I think we need more of us.
I'm trying to push us.
I think that's those two things. I think those are big challenges.
I agree. I am not a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you, outside of everything that was happening in the culture, of course, what made you say, I'm going to put this together despite maybe how someone felt, despite, maybe people are like, oh no, you shouldn't say that, or, people feeling a certain different type of way than you.
Yeah.
What made you be like, this is what I'm going to put together regardless? This has to be told, and I'm going to be the one to tell it. This has to be done. I'm going to be the one to do it.
So, when Ahmaud Arbery, when he was murdered, and when his story came out, the way in which his story came out was, like, it did something to me. It was different than anyone else. Like, there was something about his particular story that I connected with. So what I learned about him, at least what was coming out in the media cycle, was he was going to school to be an electrician, and what he would do, he would go out, he would exercise, he would run, and he would go and see like a project, like a house being built. He would go inside the house, and he would go in and he would study like the electrical, like way things are wired up in there.
Wow.
And that like really like that
Stood
part
out.
of that part of his story really resonated with me, because I have a same kind of curiosity like that. I want to know how things are built. I want to know, like, if you ask my mom, we had a compact computer, like first computer we ever had. We got that thing in 2000, and when I tell you, I used to open that thing up all the time, like get the screws and open it up all the time. Like, I eventually, like at some point, like I eventually installed a CD burner in there. Like, I figured out how to install a CD burner in there, but I was just so curious, like, man, how does this thing work?
Yeah.
So like, I'm always curious about how things work, like the how and something. So that, like, I had like a connection to him, but then like I thought more and more just about the situation and what happened in him and everyone who, all the black people who have been murdered before him. And I thought to myself, I'm like, why is it that we only hear about these stories about our people until either something really good happens or something really bad happens? Why don't we ever hear something about our people, like, just in the middle, like while they're in the midst of doing it, like every day, like get up, get up, go to work every day, or get up, create this, this gallery, this podcast, this, this business, this, I got this clothing line, I got this restaurant, I got this bakery. Like, I know so many different people who have things like that.
Right.
So I said to myself, I'm like, well, how can I, like, because I was trying to figure out a way, like, how can I, like, trying to realize, like, I'm not a protest person. Like, I went to a couple protests, and I'm like, I'm not a big, like, scream, yell them up, like, rah guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying to learn more and more about, my history, and my roots, and different things, Jamaican roots and things like that. So, I'm trying to learn more and more about us, but I'm like, how can I do something now with the skills that I have right now? And, I thought to myself, I'm like, okay. It was funny because somebody posted on Instagram, somebody posted something about Islamophobia, and they posted a sticker on there that said "I am not a threat," and it was a woman with hijab on, and it said underneath it "I am not a threat," and I'm like, huh. And then I thought more and more, and I'm like, you could be walking down the street and you run into a cop shows up and he thinks you up to no good, or you in the wrong neighborhood and you come across a white person or somebody and they're just like, what are you up to? You got no business being here.
Right.
But what I wanted to do was break down, get behind that and be like, okay, let me take pictures of these, our people who society deems as threats and tell their story. Like, tell what they got going on. Tell, who are these people? Who are these people that you think are threats?
Right.
And try to break that down and be like, hey man, we just trying to live. Like, we just trying to do our thing. We got goals, we got dreams too. We have aspirations, we have families, we have we have our own traumas, we have had our losses as well. So, that was really the motivation and inspiration behind it, was just trying to get our stories out there without, that polarizing good or bad effect. And, that was really it. That was really it.
I think you did a good job on that.
Thank you. I'm thinking about, I want to do a part 2. And add some kind of, visual aspect to it. But I am thinking about doing a part 2. I think I might do it maybe this summer, but
do it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Do it.
This gonna be the summer for everybody, I believe.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
I got a lot of plans going down this summer.
For sure.
We outside with it.
We gotta be outside.
They don't even know.
This guy.
Gotta be outside.
This guy. Definitely
For
do.
sure.
Can't do everything behind the laptop or phone the whole time.
Yeah.
Gotta network.
Oh no, we podcasting outside.
Got to. The cookout.
That's
that's
the vision for sure.
The cookout.
Somebody's gonna be barbecuing, right?
Cookout, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just want to pop up at people family
Just
reunions. Start a podcast.
Start talking. Like, what's going on? Let's get some spades going.
Who did right? Okay. So who making the mac and cheese? You said who the best over there on the grill? Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So soon you will be a father, correct? Mm-hmm. So what are some things that you plan to instill into your son, considering that he's coming from a mixed background and everything like that? And I'm sure you still want him to know everything that you know and then some, and especially because it's always been like this for Black men, but it's just like crazy, like it's different for a woman than it is a man, and in color as well. But what are some things that you will instill into him and try to teach him so he know his background and he knows how to handle certain people in the world, certain things?
You know what? That's a really great question. One thing that so my mom, I lately, I want to say in the last year or so, my mom and I have had. My mom's been more vulnerable, with sharing certain things with me. And I remember my mom she told me the first time she had ever experienced racism. And she said she had never experienced it until she came to America.
Wow.
So my parents, just to give everybody context, my parents are Jamaican. They were from Jamaica. They were mom born in Kingston, dad was born in, small village called Cockburn Pen. And then they moved here when they were in their late teens. But my mom said she she never experienced racism until I want to say I think she said she was pregnant with me,
Mm.
and that was years after she had moved up here, and the way in which my mom explained the situation to me, like explained what happened and how she felt, my mom was like, I didn't even know what racism was. Like I didn't even know people discriminated against each other like that over how they looked. Um,
Wow.
she would hear Bob Marley sing about it,
Yeah.
Dennis Brown, Jimmy Cliff, Buju Banton, like hear all these, you hear, these reggae songs and they, revolutionary music talking about, fighting for our rights, you know, you know, it don't matter the color of our skin. But, when you come from a culture like that, you come from a place like Jamaica and you listen to, Bob Marley's music and he talks about, because he's mixed too. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know that. He's mixed too. And, he speaks about it doesn't matter the color of our skin. We need to love everybody because we're all, we're all God's people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just hearing her explain that, it made a lot of sense to me on how they raised me.
Mm-hmm.
And they raised me to love everybody. But that doesn't mean everybody's gonna love me at the same time.
That's
Right.
But they
facts.
never went into detail about why people aren't gonna love you.
Yeah.
She would, her and my dad, and more so my mom. It was more my mom than my dad, because my dad was more of a hothead than my mom was. My mom was more of the
Oh, yeah.
articulate teacher. My dad was more like, my dad would get mad. He'd be like, "Ugh." Like he would start yelling and stuff like that. But my mom would always say, people, some people who ain't gonna like you, some people who gonna call you out your name, and some people who gonna call you this, some people gonna call you that, but that don't mean you need to be like them,
Right.
because those people don't love themselves.
Mm.
And she would always tell me, you need to love yourself and, integrate a lot of, because I grew up Christian,
Mm-hmm.
integrate a lot of, love your neighbor like yourself, or love, love your
Yourself.
neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So just taking all of those things, I know I'm like going off on a little bit of a,
No,
like,
talking.
off the question, but
Keep talking.
the thing that I really want, my son to learn is, or what I really want to instill in him is, it starts with you. You got to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn how to love who you are. Learn how to love, the traits and you know, the things that God give you, the things that you are going to be blessed with. You have to learn how to love them, because, even me saying that, I didn't love a lot of the things about myself. I didn't like my name for a long time.
Yeah.
Me
either.
I didn't like, people would make fun of how big my head was. I didn't like that. People would make fun of, how quiet I would be. Different things like, "Oh, you so smart, you too smart, you do this, blah blah blah." But those are things that you have to learn to love about who you are. Because if you don't love who you are, then you won't hate who you are, you won't hate who you become, but then you start to look at where you came from, how you got to this place, who made you to be who you are, and then you start to resent that, and then that resentment bleeds into people who look like you.
Right.
So I think the biggest thing that I would want him to, that I would want to instill in him, learn to love you, learn to love who you are, learn to love where you come from, your roots, and things like that. And I want to teach him a lot of, where he comes from, your roots,
Yeah, of course.
who your grandfather was, who Bob Marley is, who, even who, a lot of things that were kept from me, like, Haile Selassie.
Mm-hmm.
My mom refused to ever talk to me about Haile Selassie. Like dreadlocks,
Mm-hmm.
like I actually just watched a documentary last night about women in the women of Rastafari, and just how I didn't know how pretty much ostracized and how shunned Rastafaris were in government. Like I thought it was just a cultural thing, but it was
Yeah.
government. The government were like looked at Rastafari as, like y'all just some bums just living on the street. Just leeching off the community. And but my mom would never teach me about that. So I want him to know, like, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything.
Of course.
So he can, have, have, if nothing else, have appreciation where it comes from. So hopefully that answered the question. Because
No,
that's
it
something
didn't.
I'm even still thinking about. I'm like, what's the most important thing I want him to know? And
But it's so many things that you want them to know,
Mhm.
like, and it's where do you start?
Yeah,
Where do you
yeah.
end? You know, it's so much that we still learning as adults that our
Yeah.
parents didn't teach us. So it's like,
Mhm.
and I'm sure it's things that they wanted to teach us, but they just didn't either know how or didn't have the time or
Mhm.
whatever the case may have been. So
Yeah.
it's still learning process. My last question, and then we have to wrap up. Sound like you cooking
making
something.
some popcorn and
You cooking?
cooking some
Oh, I think water's dropping in the bucket.
chicken. Oh.
Something's going on back there. What are the steps someone has to take to work with you? Like, if say someone is a writer or another director or whatever, what do they do? Do they just reach out, or I mean, I'm sure everybody, it has to be like some type of substance or whatever to it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the one question I would ask anybody, so if they like reached out to me and say, "Hey man, you know, I want to work with you on this thing, or I want you to, you know, direct this or DP this or whatever."
Mhm.
I think my first question would always be why.
Mhm.
Why do you want me? And
Right.
what is it that I bring to this particular story
Mhm.
that you see as,
That's it.
as a fit? Because I think, I've done a lot of work with a lot of different people just to collaborate, just for the sake of collaboration.
Mm.
But I think now, I've been trying to be a little more responsible with collaboration and knowing the why, like being very clear on the why,
Yeah.
so that, I mean, and it has really it has nothing to do with
Them, but more
whoever
so
it is,
you.
the person themselves,
Yeah.
but it's more me, of like, because I don't want to walk into your project
Mhm.
and not give you 100%,
Mhm.
because I'm not, either I don't feel what you're doing, or
Right.
I'm not 100% clear on why you want me
Mhm.
and what I need, like what specific skills I
You
can bring, or what mindset I can bring,
got you.
or like what we're actually trying to say.
Mhm.
What is it that we're trying to say? So, like I anybody can reach out to me, but just be prepared that
Ask
I'm
that.
gonna ask you why. Like why do you, why do you want me? And it's flattering. I'm gracious. I mean, I'm not gracious, but I'm
Very
I'm
good.
uh, I'm really appreciative about
What's going on here? What the-
I'm really appreciative, when people enjoy my work and they consume it, and they say, "Hey, I would love to work with you." Um, but for me, just saying that, you want what I did on another thing, or you want
Yeah,
this,
but
you
it's
want
not the
your thing
same.
to look like that,
Yeah.
like that's cool, but that's not gonna rope me in.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that's not gonna rope me in, because I'll give a quick little story, and then I'll be done. Um, I worked on a project last year, and you know, um, I went to Zach and I showed him some of the work, and Zach looked at it, and he was like, "Hey man, this is cool, but it ain't what we do."
mm.
And what he meant by that was he could tell that I wasn't fully invested
Mhm.
in it, and he could tell I won't. you know what? That's not the right word. Not fully invested, but he could tell that I could do better.
Right.
And the reason why he could tell that I could do better because he knew that I didn't really know the why I was doing or the why I was doing it or what the message was, what my specific message needed to be
Right.
behind this.
So you could give it your all.
So that I could give that, you know, that level of okay, you know what I can actually do. So, you know, I want to be able to give everybody, you know, that 100%, that full me. But yeah, the why is the most important. I gotta know why, and you know, if I'm feeling it, you know, you gonna get the crazy maniacal me who you know will will be on set for 18, 19 hours and then come back the next day and be like, all right, what we doing? You know, because once I'm invested,
days.
I'm invested. So,
of course.
But yeah, it's gotta get me, and you know, and I think everything should be like that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think everything should be like that. I feel like if you got a team around you, I feel like everybody should be invested in what you're doing. And if they're not, you know, then you just got a bunch of workers around you cutting a check. So, and then that shows in the work.
True.
So,
yeah, because you know who just want to be working for somebody and like I don't like that goes back to working at a business and not you just there because you need the job because you need the money, but you really don't want to be here. And it's like I'm building you up, but I'm not happy here. Yeah. So where can people find you at? Social media, websites? Where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram most of the time. Find me there, C Kennedy Jr. My website, charleskennedyjr.com. I'm on Facebook from time to time, Charles A. Kennedy Jr. Yeah, I think that covers it.
I thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to get you back
me.
on.
For sure,
Of course, you can follow us on power.the letter u.podcast at IG. And I thank you so much. We're out.